Hello again everyone. Now that the April Fool's event for War Thunder is over, I think it's now time to probably talk about what's best about it in my opinion, and what I think was good and also painful about it. So to start off, I did like it to some degree because it was a new game mode, so it was something nice to try out. And I like having the option to use nukes and also the ability to respawn, despite it being realistic mode. And to be fair, I just don't understand because yes, in realistic air mode, like usually in the normal game mode, you only have like one life, which I don't understand because you don't have the same restrictions when you're playing realistic tanks in War Thunder. Because in Air RB, you only have one life, so if you get shot down, then well, you're spectating for the rest of the game. While on the other hand, in Ground RB, you can respawn as many times as you want, depending on how many tanks you have in your crew slots. Also, that's the thing, despite the challenges I had playing with the jets, I actually quite like them, considering the only high-tech planes I have are from late World War II. Now, before I move on, I just want to say why I mainly played this game mode, which became more and more painful the more I played it, which was to only unlock the brand new American B-52 and the Soviet Tu-95. Aside from that, there was basically no other reason why I was playing it. Like, I know I said before that I enjoyed it, but the problem was that the research points just weren't worth it. It was more like just scraps really. The only thing that I did earn meaningfully was, well, the Silver Lions, and that was just it. On the other hand, yes, I liked the mode when I was playing it for the first time, but unfortunately it just got more annoying and more frustrating every single time I played it. Especially from the SPAA, which I'm pretty sure that most people watching this can agree with me. And as for why I hated them so much, well, one of the reasons is that there were just so many of them on the battlefield, you just couldn't go anywhere, which they just didn't exist. Then, when it came to countermeasures like using flares or chaffs, it just didn't work. Your only hope was to basically outrun the missile. But then again, I don't know, maybe it was different in your experience, but for me, it just didn't work. The only way I dodged it was I basically, as soon as I got close to the SPAA, I just turned the other way so that when they fired their missile, I could always just outrun it, and that's pretty much just it. Aside from, well, the team killing, both the accidental and the team killing on purpose, and as well as the game lasting for what feels like an eternity, because I'm sorry, but I just don't feel like it's worth it when I'm playing for like 40 minutes and I only get 2,000 points from it, which isn't helpful when I'm trying to grind to 70,000 on both the Americans and the Soviet tasks. Another thing I should mention about the anti-air is that for some reason, even when I'm low to the ground and behind a hill, for some reason my plane can still be locked on by the anti-air and then shot down. But I don't know why, because I often find this issue with the Soviet anti-air than the American ones. Now, I know I'm saying a lot of negative stuff, but I am also going to mention ways to improve it, or at least in my opinion. One way I think it needs improving, and just by the way, this isn't just the April Fool's mode, this is just jets in general. Because as I started playing, I realised how bad Gaijin needs some sort of jet tutorial. Because when I started playing, I realised, wait a minute, how do I fire my missiles, how do I use radar, so I had to quickly hop on YouTube and look for it for myself. Now, to be fair, it wasn't necessarily an issue, but I just felt like it could have probably needed a tutorial. And what I mean by that, I mean like those missions that you got to play at the start of the game that basically told you how to play the game. Okay, sorry for pausing the video, but I just realised I made a mistake. Now, I just double checked, and yes, War Thunder does have a tutorial for modern tanks and jets, which you can see in this video clip. But that also doesn't make sense as well, because why am I getting matches where there's some people who only fire the machine gun? Like, do they not just check the tutorial or something? In which there's one for naval, one for tanks, and one for planes. And it's not like they did nothing special, they just taught you how to play the game, and that's just it. Then again, at least they give you some golden eagles. Now, another thing I noticed when playing was that there was quite a few low-level players and even a level 0 at some point. And when I checked their profile, it was like their 3rd or 4th match. And no, it definitely wasn't some like player's 2nd account, because they had 10 deaths, 0 kills and 0 assists. They even left the match roughly midway through. Which, to be fair, I don't blame them, because they literally went from like biplanes to like jets in a few hours, because they haven't even played 5 games yet. And it wasn't even just my team, I saw on the enemy's team as well, where some of the players weren't even trying to dodge incoming missiles or even use their flares, or even like a heat seeker missile to try to counter the incoming missiles. But hey, you know, I'm not complaining, it is a free kill after all. The next complaint I have about the mode was that it just lasted for so long. Which didn't help when grinding, because that means you spend like 2 to 3 hours and you only get like 1,000 points, in which you need like 7,000 just to, you know, complete the task. And it also didn't help that it was so annoying when I joined a match and it was like almost nearly finished. Like literally like 1 ticket away and we lost a match. Or like 1 ticket away and, well, my team won. So I think one way that it could have been fixed was probably not to add more enemies, but probably make it so that you get more from defeating them. Because most of the time what would happen is that my team would basically destroy most of the enemy's bases aside from the main one. But however, if any of us failed to get the large nuke to destroy it, then what we would do after is basically just get the smaller nukes and just decimate the entire enemy ground force. Which, to be fair, I shouldn't be complaining about it, because, you know, the more I destroy, the more points I get. You know, it's simple. It's just the issue when the game turns from like 30 minutes and it lasts up to like an hour. That's when it becomes an issue to me. So now that I've said everything about what I dislike about it, now I want to move on and talk about how I managed to grind to get the B-52 and the Tu-95. So to start, I mainly focused on shooting down air targets at the start of the match until I got the medium-sized nuke, which can one-shot small airfields that you see right here, but however it can't destroy the main base because it has a much larger health pool. That means if you want to destroy it, you need to use either the B-52 or the Tu-95, which both cost around, I think it's 2,500 points. And that reminds me, it's also 300 points for the small nuclear bomb and it's 600 for the medium-sized one, because originally the prices were cheaper for the medium and small one, but however they made changes midway through the April Fool's event, so it's a lot more harder to get it now. I don't know why I said now, because it's not like the April Fool's event is still going on, like as I'm recording this it's already over. Now, a good tactic that I used during the event to destroy the smaller airfields was to basically go to the coast and also to stay low to the ground, but not low enough I just crash into the beach. So another path I also took were the mountain ranges on the other side of the map, which is a massive help to avoid enemy radar detection. However, like what I said before, just make sure you stick to the ground if you want to avoid getting shot down. Then after taking either side to get to the airfield, what I did was to pitch my plane as far up as I can go, so basically I can long throw the nuke. And no, you can't just go very high at the start of the game if you have a nuclear plane and just drop the nuke from a high altitude, because most of the time, from personal experience, because I tested that, you would get shot down by either the S-300 or the Patriot. And also, another thing was that I was sweating when I dropped my nuke from being anxious, because if I missed, then, well, I would have lost a lot of points. So yeah, that was fun. Then after that, I'll do it 5 more times until I finally got all the challenges done to unlock, well, both the bombers. And now finally we come to the last section. So, did I enjoy the mode? Well, yeah, more or less, because it was something new. It wasn't just, capture this point or take down so many enemies, if you get what I mean, and so on. And I do feel like there could have been some improvements, but as of everything, it was kind of okay. Now, would I say it was worth it doing the grind? Well, I mean, I can boast about it, but my mental state will probably say something else. Like, to be honest with you all, I actually came very close to either destroying my own keyboard or the monitor. And that'll be all. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.